Hey, good evening, folks, and welcome to another free online training with North American Camel Ranch Owners Association. This is obviously a benefit for members of NACROA, and of late, we have also been offering these trainings up for the general public, not just our membership. And this is a training that I have probably been embarrassingly excited about. Owning camels for 33 years means that I've done a lot of brushing every spring. And I can't remember a time that I've ever let the hair just hit the ground and go away. Now, does that mean that, some puffs of hair don't hit the ground? No, of course, some are going to hit the ground and they end up in um, bird nests around the farm. Um, but the fiber that our camels produce is a resource. And many of us who own camels process that fiber, whether we do it ourselves or we send it to a fiber mill, it does get used. And this is a part of camel's role in agriculture, certainly around the world with the cultures who have kept camels for thousands of years. In fact, fiber was probably one of the earliest utilizations of the camel between man and camel. Today, though, we have industrialized fiber mills. We certainly have people who sit around with just a drop spindle and a couple of carding combs, and they process their fiber on their own, but in a more industrialized way. There are folks who take fiber and do bigger and greater things with it. So tonight, we're very, very excited to have Kelsey Evans of Minnesota's Grumpelstiltskin's fiber mill here to talk us through the ins and outs of fiber processing. I have actually sent some of my own fiber up to Minnesota to Kelsey's mill, so it's going to be exciting to see the process and learn what all can be done with it. I do want to remind folks who are here and joining live that we are recording this presentation, and that's going to help with folks later who can also watch this. That'll be able to be seen on my YouTube channel, Nose Under the Tent on YouTube. So I would say without further ado, let's turn things over to Kelsey. Kelsey, I see that you've got a couple of cameras, one on looks like the floor of the mill, and then maybe one
Yeah.
that you're going to walk in and out of.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna try and walk in and out with. I'm gonna hopefully not drop you. I have a little stand here, so
fantastic. I do
um
see you have assistants there in the mill today.
I always have a lot of us. You can never have too many helpers. This is Peter and Joseph. They were born in the mill.
Oh my.
So yeah, they've been here since they can remember. And I have Silvio. This is my security system.
I
And
love it. Hi,
Tom,
Silvio. Oh my goodness, you do have
he
lots of
says
assistants.
hello.
Well,
Yes.
Kelsey, tell us a little bit about how you got into fiber arts, fiber production, processing of fiber. Was it coming from a background of you owned animals as well, or were you a fiber artist first? Which came first? How did this process begin for you?
I have 5 alpacas. Um, we walk out the back door. I wonder if anybody's around. Um, so I have some animals, and I was looking for mills to process my fiber and realized how far out all of these mills are around the country. No, nobody's handy, but I have some alpacas over here, and I can see my pony. And I have a couple of mammoth donkeys. But anyway, I was looking for a mill to um, process my fiber, and I had one, but the turnaround time was so long. My husband finished school. He had gone back to school, and when he finished, he said, "Okay, it's your turn." And he said, I don't think I want to go. I don't know that I want to do this anymore." And my background is acute care hospital pharmacy. And I was gonna finish pharmacy school. And instead, I spent some time reflecting on what I really loved in life and what I really didn't love, and spent a lot of time praying, and all of the doors were opened for me to have a fiber mill. So from the moment I decided that this was something I wanted to do to um, equipment on the floor, I think was like 6 months. I mean, it was super, super fast and really, really crazy. And I found a mill who was retiring, and I was able to fly out there and spend some time with them. And um, yeah, then I hired Belfast to ship transport my equipment, install it, train me how to use it, and then I have them for ongoing support. So right now my spinner is down. It needs new brains, so they're building those parts to me, and then they will be shipped here, and um, then they'll come and help me put them in, and yeah. So I still teach part-time just because I still like my job teaching, but so I'm still in the pharmacy world a little bit, but this is what I do 7 days a week. And it's still really technical, and I really like that. But I have this creative outlet that I'm able to use. And I've met a lot of really wonderful people. And yeah,
That's great. That's
it's
great.
wonderful. Yeah.
I love the two worlds you live in. That's when I look at the equipment in a fiber mill, I think you have to be a little bit of an engineer and kind of a mad scientist to understand all of it and what each piece of equipment does. How does your pharmacy world and the knowledge of that discipline, how does that play into what you do, owning and operating a fiber mill?
Well, I'm good with math, and I'm really good at calculations, and I'm good at ratios. And so when I'm blending, I drive my customers crazy because they get super, super exact. Like, well, we did a 38% this animal and 18% this animal, and so it's always super, super crazy exact. But I still get to use a lot of math skills. I still get to use ratios, and I get to use proportions, and um so that's good. I remember when I was training to do this, and I was weighing something, and we do weights to lengths, which is very, very strange to me because I've always done milligrams in milliliters or milligrams in milligrams. And it was really hard for me to get the hang of that. And I was weighing something, and I was really trying to be exact. And Jeff finally put his hands on my shoulders and said, "No one's going to die." And the relief of that was just like, oh, yeah, yeah, nobody's gonna die. Like, I can't kill somebody doing this. And it was just such a relief that, oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, so it
And
seems like that's an area where the two disciplines don't overlap at all, and it's good that
no, they
you
don't.
recognize that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah, but I'm really, really organized. I really like I have everybody named. I have little tags on all of my pieces of equipment that have the animals' names on them, and what I'm making, what I'm doing, how much they weigh, um, what's happening. I only process one farm at a time. I strip everything down. I'm really probably a little over the top about I don't like any white fiber in my black fiber in my white fiber. So I probably spent too many years in a pharmacy clean room that um, I'm really worried about contamination. Um, so some of those things are probably a little overboard, but um, they work, and I'm happy with the end product because of
I would
that. So
imagine your clients appreciate the attention to detail.
yes, I think
Well,
so.
let's talk let's talk fiber. Um, in a 12-month cycle, what percentage of your work is in camel fiber? And maybe break down for us what kind of fibers you get.
I get a lot of different fibers. I primarily do camelids. So I do a lot of alpaca. That's probably 95% of my, maybe 90% of my clientele right now. Um, I would say I have 1% camel customers. I do not have very much. It is, it's not very much. I do some llama. I've started to do quite a bit more yak fiber that also has that double coat like the camels do, where they have the that thick, coarse guard hair and then that really fine down.
Hmm.
Um, I do some bison. I've started to take some kiviat from Alaska, which is like the holy grail of fiber. So that's pretty phenomenal. I
I
do a
was going
little
to
bit
ask
of
what's
wool.
the most unique fiber you received, but I reckon that would be it.
That or large guardian dog. I did have a lady bring me her large guardian dog, and I do have Alaskan Malamute on my wait list. So
Oh my goodness. Oh my
I'm always
goodness.
up for an experiment.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it. You get to put your mad
So
scientist hat back on for
yeah,
those.
a little bit.
Well, we've been watching on Facebook the last few days. You've been sharing on Grumpelstiltskin's Fiber Mill page
Yeah.
some of the process, the cleaning of camel fiber. And even though you've got this room full of machines, it sounds like and appears that the earliest stages of processing camel fiber is still very much done by hand at your place, at least. Walk us through those earliest steps, and of course, everybody can who's watching this later on YouTube can go and visit Grumpelstiltskin's Fiber Mill on Facebook and see some of those processes. But walk us through that, please.
Sure. So when we have a raw bag, and I'm going to walk over here so that I can grab a bag of raw fiber. Um, when I first get a bag of fiber in, whoops, now I have to flip my camera here. So everybody's got a name tag on it. Um, and you can watch this whole process and I go through it a little bit more thoroughly. I try and have dirty days and clean days is what I call them. But and this is really great for customers to do, especially when you're shipping fiber, because you don't want to ship dirt. I remember when we were kids and we learned that a pound of feathers and a pound of bricks both weighed a pound, but one took up a lot less space. So what we're looking for is like we're getting rid of, these fibers that are, this is alpaca, so this is a little bit different, but these ones that aren't going to make it through the machine because they're too short, or if there's a big clump of dirt in here, or when I'm doing it this weekend on the grates, you can hear when I'm pulling this fiber apart, you can hear all the dirt coming out. So when
Yeah.
I'm just doing it against fiber against fiber, you can't hear much. Um, and then from there, a lot of these things I tell people to do because you can do it at home and it's quite simple to do. And it saves you a lot of money in shipping and processing because we charge on incoming weight for our processing to encourage you
Mhm.
to, do some cleaning on your own. And then I use a mesh laundry bag and I put this fiber once I pulled it apart into that mesh laundry bag and I go and whack it against a fence post. Now I also have a tumbler here, so it's a big, looks like a big bingo ball machine. And this fiber can go and get knocked around in there, and all this dust comes out, and that just helps me not have to clog up my drains.
These are the earliest steps. They're done by hand at the mill. But you know what? Let's back up even farther. You're discussing what an owner can do to
Mhm.
maximize obviously what they have shipped to you. But from the minute somebody grabs a brush or a comb and begins pulling that winter coat off of their camel in the spring, what would
Yep.
be the optimum uh, setup for you as the mill? If you were talking to me as a camel owner and guiding me to what would best serve both of us, what would you say to a camel
So
owner
as
who
you're
wants to start,
brushing,
yeah, harvesting that fiber?
when you've got that clump of it, as you're taking it off, take a look at that. Make sure that there's not something yucky in there, poop tags or sticks or branches or twigs or something, because those things you can easily pick out. We can see a big chunk of dirt, throw it out. And then you have to pull it off your brush anyway to put it in your collection bag. So as you're pulling it off your brush, pull it apart and give it a little shake. And that definitely helps get rid of that dirt. But that's also a great time to do some of your herd health, and you're looking at your fiber, you're looking to see, how do these hairs look? Are they tender? Are they strong? Do they break in my hands? Did my animal have a stressful year? Do you know someone who's had a baby before? Did their hair fall out when they were pregnant? Have you ever moved or had a new job or done something stressful and had your own hair fall out or do something weird? Well, these are fiber producing animals. That's one of their primary jobs. And so when stressful things happen in their lives, we notice it in their fiber. So sometimes we'll see breakage, or um, we can listen to these and we won't hear anything if it's a strong, healthy fiber. If it's a weak fiber, if it's tender, if the animal's had stress or maybe a dietary issue or some other thing happened during the year, we'll hear this and it sounds like a crackle, like listening to a record. And you hear that that crackle. So those are
This
all
is
things that
Yeah,
you
it's a
can,
really great observation that
yeah,
you're not just collecting fiber to do something with it, some end purpose, but that we can gain some insights into the health of our animals. And this is
absolutely.
you're definitely opening my eyes up to a couple of things. They're just the considerations of stress, et cetera. One
Yep.
thing that I think a lot of folks are hopefully aware of is that the coat of their camel will definitely be compromised if they are suffering from parasitism and
Yes.
hair doesn't shed naturally if they're compromised by parasites. So these insights that you have just thrown out for us are really great for people to recognize whether they plan on harvesting that fiber or not, but a general um, indication of herd health that can come from examining that fiber. So, Kelsey, what would you say to those camel owners who, yeah, they'll line up their camels in the corral in the spring, they'll start brushing, and the hair just hits the ground? What would you say to those
Um,
folks?
I typically don't like that practice. The reason that I don't like that practice is because how are you getting it off of the ground to put it in the bag then? Um, are you raking it up? Are you sweeping it up? Are you gathering it up nicely? And then what on the ground is coming with it? Um,
Yeah.
so that's my main reason for not liking that. And why are you throwing it on the ground? That's your harvest for the year. Like if we really think of our fiber like a harvest, I mean, this is what we're gonna make with our harvest. That's like picking your tomatoes and throwing them on the ground. It doesn't make sense to me why you do that.
Yeah, I kind of think I knew the answer to that before I asked it.
That's
And
okay.
no, 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 it was great to hear you say it because it is it's a product and it's something that camel owners probably take for granted. What do you think, in your experience, both as a livestock owner and now a mill owner, what do you think would be the stumbling block for people, to collect their fiber? Why are they not collecting their fiber? Why are they maybe letting it hit the ground and not even raking it up or picking it up, and they just let it go? What would you say to those folks?
Um, I, there's a lot of people that have fiber animals that don't use their fiber. And that's fine if you don't want to use your fiber. But there are a lot of people out there who would like to use your fiber. Not all fiber is created equal. Um, do I want to have a fiber in here that's from an animal who's had parasites or who's had lice or um, an issue like that? No, not necessarily. But so I'm okay with that fiber blowing away. Um, it's the fiber that is from well cared for animals that is a higher grade, that's a better quality fiber that I'd really like to see used. There's a bigger movement nationwide, I think, for natural fibers to be used in clothing again. Um, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, everybody went crazy over polyester because it was so cheap, and we continue to use polyester because of how cheap it is. And now we're finding out how expensive it is because of our health, because of the environment, because of all of the above. Our natural fibers are better for us health wise. They're better for the environment. You know, camel, alpaca, wool, they don't typically hold odor. So you can usually go quite some time without washing those garments. Um, Usually you just need to air them out in between wear. Um, there's also like I try and use the guard hair on from these animals, and I'll use them to make rugs. So with my alpacas, they have their second cuts or their third cuts that I don't think are worth processing into something wearable. So I use those for housewares, and I have alpaca rugs. I think they've been on my floors for 3 years, and I might give them a snow bath in the wintertime, but they don't hold odor. Um, so those are some really great things that really, really positive things I think about fiber.
Agreed. You're making a great case for folks to, harvest their fiber and make sure their animals are healthy. Why don't we
Hmm.
dive into some of the process and the machinery there? I think you've set
Okay.
up some demonstrations for us. Why don't I turn it over to you? I'll
Yeah,
stop
let's do
interrupting you with
things.
questions. And why don't you
You
show us a
interrupt
little
me
bit of the
anytime.
process?
So I always start with they get a bath. They start with a nice long soak. Right now we're in a drought in Minnesota, so I'm trying to reuse as much um water as I can. So that's why I have those tubs in my sink. You can see the steam coming off. I wash at about 170 degrees. So, um, and then I wash until this water is clear. So it has to be clear enough for me to drink out of it for it to hit my machines. This is my big washer. So once it's done being washed, then we come in here. This is my drying room. And these are just old bread racks, but they work fantastic. They're light enough for me to move. I can wipe them down. I can wash them. And then I just lightly pull the fiber apart and spread it out real thin on these stacks. And then I have a little chart for who's where. So, Doug, here's some of your fiber that's drying here. Nice and clean. So when I wash, you'll notice that there might still be some hay pieces or some grass in there. I use a laundry soap It's called Unicorn Power Scour. It's a really safe soap, but it's soap. It doesn't have sulfuric acid in it. It's not going to burn out this vegetation. So even after washing, there's still going to be some little bits and pieces of hay left in there. So then once we're done with washing, we'll come out here so we can see there's still some bits and pieces of hay. This is called the picker. And so what this does is the this opens up the fiber. So it's still kind of clumpy right now. It looks like maybe we went to bed with wet hair and our fibers kind of all clumped together. And so we can see we have an intake feed here, and then you can kind of see it go through. In the back, there's a really big roller that's got large teeth. And that helps open those fibers up so that we're able to use them. And so then I have a little window so that I can see what's going on. Just going to turn it off. And so I have this little room here. So once the fiber's gone through the picker, it's all fluffed up and ready to use. So then this is what it looks like after it's been picked. And then once it's been picked, we want to put it on the fiber separator. And the reason that we're putting it on the fiber separator, or the dehairer, you might hear it called, is that we're wanting to get rid of some of this VM. We don't want that in there. Don't bed your animals in wood chips. It never ever comes out. But we have these big guard hairs. I have to do this. So see how we can see that really, really easily? Those are those hairs that we're looking to get rid of. And then it's these fine fibers that we're looking to keep. And so we can barely see each fiber, but we can very easily see this. So these are the ones that we're trying to get rid of by this dehairing process. So this is the fiber separator or dehairer. It moves very slowly. It's very, very loud. That's why I'm doing this with the headphones on, because I feel like I can still talk a little bit. So this is moving right now. There's 6 200-pound drums in here with different carding cloths that are going in different directions. And I have it set at a certain speed to accomplish what I want here. So in these little baskets, I have, this one hasn't been through the separator at all. This has been through 1 time. This has been through 2 times. This has been through 3 times. So as we look really, really closely, we can still see that there's those thick hairs in there. And this one, we see less hairs. And in this one, we're seeing even less. So our separator's still going. And we've got all these drums turning. And then this is where our fiber comes out. And it's coming out really slow, like a waterfall. Just like a veil. So sometimes this machine runs all day long. Like it's still going. It still doesn't even have all of that. I think I had 1 ounce on there. So once I'm happy with that, then I have my amount here weighed out. This is a different Camel, but so I have lines on my intake belt on my carder. This is my carder. This has a bunch of different drums through here that are also going in different directions. They're different sizes and have different carding cloths on there. And so right now we're having this make roving. So this moves a little bit faster, but we can see all of these drums. And then this is where our roving's coming out. So our roving is what we're going to spin from. So sometimes I get people that order just roving because they want to hand spin their fiber. And then I can also hook up, excuse me, this cord yarn maker or rug yarn maker. And so what this does is it hooks up to the carder and there is a cotton core that the fiber wraps around. So we can use a thicker, coarser fiber, and then it makes this thick rope-like yarn. And that's great for rugs and table runners and coasters and placemats and things of that nature. So if I'm going to send this out to a customer like this, then I'm done. If I'm going to go and make yarn, then it goes on to the next spot. Here we're going to do a two-tone. And I always run, so I run 2 sets of roving through together. And the purpose of this machine is to align the fibers and make sure that they're nice and straight. And it also helps draw them out a little bit. And so what happens here is these 2 fibers, these 2 lines of roving come in separately. And here they start to connect. They go through this little pokey rolly thing. It's called a porcupine. And then they go through a roller and a false twist. And then they go through another set of rollers. And then now they're all combined. And we have a really nice, really consistent roving. So we'll make really, really nice yarn from this. So then once I have all my buckets, usually I go to my spinner, and this is my 8 spindle spinner. So to put that in perspective, I'm a mini mill. I have 8 spindles for my spinner. A large commercial mill has 1,500 spindles. So, okay, I'm going to try not to drop you. So when I've got my roving, and I just have 2 cans here because I don't have very many spindles on this machine. So this goes up the back side. Oops. Okay. I can do this with one hand. Okay. And see if this can be steady enough to stay here. Whoops, maybe not. We'd have to go back over here. You'll have to have a sideways picture, sorry.
We appreciate the effort that you're going through to get us up to speed on how this all works. Kelsey, you're an absolute
Sure thing.
pro.
Oh, thank you. So this is three different sets of rollers here, and I'm able to change the pressure on these. I'm also able to change um, how far apart these are. I'm also able to change this clip and this clip. So all of these things make a difference when I'm trying to size yarn. So what I do is I need to run my roving through. And I'm left-handed, so everything I do looks super backwards. So if you ever go to do this or see somebody else do this, be like, oh, that lady did it really weird. I'm left-handed. So we always need a leader thread or a leader piece of yarn to connect. So there we are twisting and we're spinning and our bobbins are full. So these are each single strand here. And so this whole deck rises and falls or goes up and down so that our bobbins fill evenly. So that's the only thing that moves. And then up here is where our roving slides through. And then you'll see just the end of the roving come through. So then it stops. So this is my machine that I normally do my plying on. And when I say plying, I mean, if you've heard, I'm sure you've heard people say 2-ply yarn or 3-ply yarn. That's where this happens. So then I can take 3 strands of yarn and put a weight on each one. And I no longer need that guide. Disconnect that for a minute. And then we have to turn it in the opposite direction. Otherwise, we would undo everything that we just made.
Is that because you're
So
left-handed?
it's not. So we spin in one direction and we ply in the opposite. So we call it Z and S. And if you look at the way that a Z, the shape of a Z, and then look at a strand of yarn, there's a resemblance. And then look at an S. So then we hook that together. We have our three strands.
Kelsey, what percentage of the mill's business would you say is taking fiber all the way to the spun uh, stage versus the rovings, which you showed us earlier?
Mine, I would say about 85%. I do have some rug yarn customers as well. I do work for a couple of rug makers.
Now, spinning is a large part of
But
your
spinning's a
final
large part.
process.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
very, very interesting. And could you talk to us a little bit? I know we've still got a little bit of the process to go, but could you talk to us a little bit about um, the comparative qualities of camel fiber versus the kind of staple that you do with llama and alpaca? How do these compare?
Well, they're all different. Fiber is different from animal to animal. Um, Camel is the only camelid that sheds and that has that true double coat. Um, Both llama and alpaca have guard hairs, but not at the rate that we see them in a camel and the way that they shed out. Um, it is up to the client how much of that they would like taken out. So if we come back over here and if we're looking at these fibers and looking at the various stages and looking, Joseph, that's not helpful. If we're looking at these like this, these are all going to come out. And this one we've removed, there might be one or two guard hairs along the way, but certainly not very many. Um, and then when we look at a finer grade alpaca, we're not going to see very many of those. We'll see a few, but not very many. And then we're also looking at things like micron and density. This animal is a very dense animal. They've also got, oops, sorry. There's a lot to him. There's a very large amount here with a very small amount of guard hair. That's one of the reasons that camel costs more, because there's more behind the processing of it. It's more to comb it all out. It's more to process it. It's more to get to that fine fiber. But if we look at that with bison and yak and kiviat, we see that higher price as well. So when we look at those things, we have to Joseph is just super not helpful right now. Sorry. So we have to take those things into account. Are we going to spend more on processing? Yes. But are we having a product that people want? And when we explain to them all the things that we have to go through to get to that nicer product, are they usually appreciative and understand that? Yes. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. And
Absolutely
I don't know off
helpful.
the top of my head what the average micron count and average, do you send out your fiber for analysis? I know that there's a lot of alpaca farmers that send out, they do like EPD testing on their fibers every year. And so then like they know the micron count, they know the SD, they know all the different, this is a Surrey alpaca, so it's got a different, they've got long curly locks. So this is a higher luster. It's not going to have as much spring. It's got more of a drape to it. It's very silky. It's cool to the touch.
I would say the majority of camel owners who are harvesting their fiber, very much kind of like our industry as a whole, very much at the baby steps. They have fiber. And I would imagine in some of the larger collectives in Central Asia, where camel fiber is harvested in tons, I'm sure that
Yes,
data has been done,
is
but here
available. Okay,
domestically in the US, I think we're, as an association, we're still struggling very much to get people to collect their fiber.
sure.
Analysis is probably still a bit down the road for us.
Gotcha. So it's something to look at. And then, as you start to understand those numbers, what they mean and why they are what they are, and what properties in the alpaca world and the sheep world, farmers will try to isolate certain qualities and breed for them.
For sure. And I think with any sector in agriculture, prudent breeders and raisers and producers would and should be doing that. I know I jumped in as we were plying. Do you have any steps beyond that we need to see? We're looking still at about a quarter of an hour here, and I want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to jump in and ask questions if they
I do
have
have
any.
the option of putting your finished product up on cones. Then if you're working, I do this for weavers and I do this for people who just have larger amounts and they want to knit off of those. And then I also have the skein winder here, and so that puts it into the long loopy things.
So that makes a total of how many machines that fiber would pass through?
Roller, washer, picker, separator, carder, draw frame, spinner, plier, cone, 10.
Wow. And processing time from the minute you're there picking and getting the dirt out to let's say that it went all the way through that 10th machine. How long is that? Is it a day? Is it 3 days? Is it a month? Is it a week?
Well, it depends upon volume. It depends upon how much we're doing. But like just the drying process, like right now, it's very dry here. So it would probably it's only taking about 12 to 24 hours to dry. In the spring and fall when it's really humid, it takes 24 to 48 hours to dry. Um, Sometimes it takes me 3 days to wash, depending upon how dirty the animals are.
You're looking at
Um,
me, aren't you? With that batch of hair I just sent you.
oh, I've seen worse. Um, but sometimes I also go back through and like, how that fiber comes off in kind of a clump, like it's all stuck together. Sometimes there's mud in between there. And the first time I do the wash on it, I don't get everything out. And so I do a wash and then I run it through the picker and maybe the separator. And then I go back and do another wash because I have all this dirt now that's been exposed from having that fiber further opened. So I usually tell people at least I'm going to have their, once their fiber's here, it's going to be at least 4 weeks. I don't like to have it longer than 4 to 6 weeks, but um, yeah. So I schedule my fiber. Um, I only have storage space for about 400 pounds of fiber, and that's about all that I insure when it's here. So, um, so what I do is I have you on my list and then I call you when I'm ready for it. And then I give you like 2 to 4 weeks to get it sent. And then I get it taken care of and get it sent back out. So I don't want it here for very long. So I let you keep it at your house. So I give you plenty of time to get it cleaned and skirted and separated or skirted and ready for me.
It sounds like you do a fair bit of educating to fiber producers as well. It's not just, brush the camel, send the hair to Grumpelstiltskins. It's definitely in everybody's benefit. It's to everybody's benefit if they do a little bit of work on their own at the farm.
Definitely. I try and do a little bit of education. I like to save money. I imagine everybody else does too. And I like to be proud of my harvest. And I think that most people like to be proud of their harvest. And I think it's a really weird thing. That's not true. I don't think it's a weird thing. I don't think that there's a whole lot of sources for education out there. And there's not a whole lot of people that are just like randomly talking online about how to brush your camel or your yak or your bison and what the best practice is for sending it into the fiber mill. And there's not that many of us fiber mills that are taking those kinds of fibers. So I've been trying to do more education as I can think of ways to make the process go better.
From a supply and demand standpoint, if somebody's watching this now or watching it back once recorded and published on YouTube, uh, can somebody get the feeling that wow, I can make a lot of money by brushing my camel and sending it to fiber mills? Is that something that you can speak to? Um, what are the realistic expectations for somebody who has, let's say, five, six, eight, 10 camels?
I honestly, I don't know how much comes off of one camel. Like, I don't know what the average yield per camel is per year. So that's going to make that a little bit difficult for me to speak to. Um, and there's different ways of selling it. There's different ways of blending it. There's different ways of using it. I have some over here that I got last year from a gal. Um, whoops, I have to change this. Um, but there's some different things. So I have some that is just like plain camel, and this is a little bit bigger. This was from a darker camel. This has been really popular. This has been a blend. So this is a camel and alpaca. So we've got kind of a tweed
Beautiful.
thing going on here. Same with these. We've got that tweed look going on. Um, and then I started to play with some dye. So we can over dye those browns and get these different colors using purples and reds. Those are the only colors that I've tried so far. And then this is what it looks like knitted. This is what it looks like crocheted. These make great Christmas gifts. Maybe start there and see what, if your family members like it, and then see if you like to knit with it, or maybe you don't like, I don't know how to knit. I don't know how to crochet. I don't know how to craft. I know how to weave a little bit, but um, I know that my customers who are excited about their fiber are the ones that sell the most. So the ones who are like, oh my gosh, I'm so madly in love with this and I can't wait to do X, Y, or Z, or bring it to a weaving mill and have blankets woven, or bring it to a knitter, or just a lot of different things. And then are you going to go to a fiber festival and sell it? Are you going to sell it online? How are you going to move your product if you have it? So there's a lot of different things to think about. And then there's
Those-
also like, you have to be realistic and remember to do that strength test that we did on those bags earlier and check and see, like, do I have fiber that is strong enough to process? Do I have fiber that you have to be realistic, and you have to be a little bit critical of your own fiber and say, okay, is it good enough to process? I've had people rake it up off the ground and send it to me, and there's rocks in it that are the size of my thumb. Well, that's going to ruin my equipment if I put it through there. And they'll say, well, it's camel, or well, it's yak, or well, it's alpaca. Well, I can't process rocks.
That should
So,
be yeah, that should be your bumper sticker. Rumpelstiltskins. You can't process rocks.
yep. Grumpelstiltskins. Yeah. Oh, I could have a few bumper stickers.
I reckon. Hey, this is fantastically educational and enlightening. Even, for someone like me who's had camels for 3 decades, my experience with fiber harvesting has been collecting it and then just piecemeal through the year when I'm at various events with our family's camels, somebody might ask about the fiber and they're a spinner, and I'll say, well, in the trailer, I've got a bag of it here. You can have it. And they seem perfectly happy to take it raw and do all the
Yeah.
cleaning, probably by hand, in a very cottage industry kind of way. But you have really, built this up and that process into a much more industrial way. And this has been fascinating. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you would want to share with folks?
I don't think so. Does anybody have any questions for me?
All righty. Anybody got a question? Go ahead and unmute your mic and ask a question if you got one, folks.
I have a quick one. We sometimes debate in the camel world the best way to remove the hair, like the utensil, the comb, the brush, whatever you use. Do you have a recommendation of what would be the best tool for removing it? I already wear the bag and put it straight into a bag, so mine never touches
I
the
know
ground.
you do. You do a wonderful job.
Thank you. I follow one rule.
Oh, and I have to make sure that I walk over by my door.
I love it. Get a picture of that, Douglas.
It's
Love-
captured. We're
Captured.
honored to
Okay,
have you as a
excellent.
member
I
of the
love it.
association. Very
I
honored
had
to
to
have you
remember
as a
to do
member.
that. All right.
You make me very
Right.
happy.
Oh, very good.
Right. Any other questions?
I have a few. What part of the process do you wish was faster or easier or didn't exist at all? Because you have 10
Oh,
steps, and
I
that is crazy.
know. It is kind of crazy. I would love to outsource the cleaning process. And I don't know if you caught me earlier and I said I try and have clean days and dirty days,
Yeah.
or I try and do my skirting and my tumbling either at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, because then I go and change. Because you don't
Okay.
want me full of all that dirt and dust and then coming back in here and touching your nice clean yarn, your nice clean fibers, and getting all
Right.
that dirt and dust on that nice clean fiber. So if there was what, like big commercial mills, dirty fiber doesn't go into those. They've gone to a scouring facility and then that clean fiber comes in. So
Wow.
if I could get rid of part of it, that would be great. That, and I'm going to a different, like I'm leaving this building to go and do it.
Yeah. And I can attest by brushing our camels that I get covered with dust and dirt and grime and hair. Yeah, it's dirty.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's their favorite thing to do is take a dust bath.
Yes. Yes. Also,
I know.
what challenges are the fiber mill industry facing?
Um, we are all behind, and there is I did a video not too long ago about this, where I did a tour and um I mentioned that you're hiring me to run this equipment, and it's not cheap equipment. It's very expensive equipment, and everybody has access to 2 hands and a garbage bag. Not everybody has access to $250,000 worth of machinery. And so the reason that you are sending it to me is because I have access and I know how to use that equipment. So when you send your fiber to me and it's not prepared, and I'm outside pulling dirt and pulling sticks and twigs and rocks out of it, it means that I'm not running equipment, because that can't be running while I'm outside. This might be automated, but I can't just push a button and walk away. because I might be able to get 5 machines running at one time and have everything run smoothly, but the minute that one thing goes wrong, everything stops. So the better that people prepare their fiber, the quicker that gets streamlined. So I think that a lot of us are starting to finally talk about that and say, you know, can you start to prepare your fiber a little bit better so that I can actually work? Because people are starting to complain about how far booked out we are, but
You can't process rocks.
you can't process rocks. So
Fantastic. Wow, Kelsey, this has been just wonderful. It is obvious that not only do you know your business, but it's clear that you love and enjoy what you do too, and the way you educated all of us today. And obviously, this will be broadcast to many more viewers in perpetuity on our YouTube channel for Nose Under the Tent. You can find that. We will have that up in the next 24 hours or so if I'm not busy outside brushing camels tomorrow morning. So,
all right.
Kelsey, we want to thank you for your time, your knowledge, your expertise. This has just been wonderful, and we appreciate everything you do to help educate folks.
Absolutely. Thank you, all of you, for coming.
All right. Hey, folks, don't forget these are roughly quarterly online trainings as a service of North American Camel Ranch Owners Association. And we want to thank everybody who was here live. Certainly our presenter, Kelsey, with Grumpelstiltskin's Fiber Mill of Minnesota. And we look forward to seeing everyone at the next online training. Thanks a lot, and everybody have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Adios.